How can you make your work look professional? How can you make your composition look cinematic? How can you make your work look so good? Hello everyone, this is Kek Salafesa from the Visual Factory Productions. Wow. How are you everyone there? And today I'm bringing to you tips on how you can make your work look professional, cinematic, and good. But before we go further, I would like to remind you about this cinematography masterclass, which is organized by Enoch Katongule and is to take place from the 4th of December, and it's going to take a full week. The time will be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We shall have to pay 200,000 Ugandan shillings only, and the venue is at Solofix Studios, that is in Luzila. Anyone who is a content creator who wants to become good in the film industry, the script writers, the directors, producers, anyone that is in this industry, you can be part of this masterclass and share with very many speakers. For example, we shall have Esther Nakaziba, and then we shall have Marvin Musoke and many more. Do not forget, do not miss. Okay, back to the point today. Today I'm bringing to you tips on how to make our composition look good and cinematic and professional. Very many people are trying to make their compositions look good, and very many people do not care about the composition. But guess what? The composition is a very, very, very crucial kind of a thing that you should take place, because this is where you communicate. In our compositions, this is where we put our subjects, this is where we put our story. So our framework is very, very crucial. Now, today, I'm bringing to you tips on how we can make this happen, how we can make them look professional, how we can make them look cinematic, how we can make them look good. Catch up, and do not forget to like, do not forget to subscribe, do not forget to share or to comment on this video and on my channel. Okay, coming on number one, the very first tip, rule of thirds. Now, rule of thirds, these are the lines that we find in our cameras. There are two drawn horizontal and other two drawn vertical, which separates our frame into four sections. We have the center, we have the left third, and even the right third. So we also have the 4 points where these lines meet, which are very, very crucial. Some of the DOPs decide to put their subject in the composition on the left side, on the left third, or in the right third, or in the center third, depending on what they are trying to communicate. During a wide, if you can place your composition, or if you can place your subject on this where these lines meet, and you track, that is a very, very, very wonderful kind of a framing, and it is very, very, very nice. What I can talk more about the rule of thirds is the center third. This center third, mostly this is where people of authority are being put, people who are commanding. You will realize that in most cases, in documentaries, when people are teaching, like a tutorial like this one, people put more of their subjects in the center, or public speakers are being put in the center third. Why? It shows the authority, it emphasizes the authority, and it puts the tension on that subject. Please do not forget to use the rule of thirds. It helps you to mark or to make a good frame. And on number two, we have the leading lines. Now, these leading lines are not functions in cameras, or they are not found in our cameras. But these are the things we put, are the lines we find on set. Some might be put, some might be found, some might be put, some might be kind of maneuvered with what in the surrounding. These are just simply things that draw attention from the foreground. From the foreground to the subject, or from the background to the subject. These leading lines help you to drive attention through the frame, through the composition, to the subject. One of the reasons why I like the leading lines is they help your work to look creative. they help your work to look professional. Most of the beginners won't notice that the leading lines are in the environment or are in a frame. They will just shoot, but when you try to put these leading lines in the frame, they emphasize much our subject. Now you can put these leading lines behind or in the background, or you can put them in the foreground just to emphasize your subject. Try to use these leading lines, and you shall see how your work will improve, how your composition will improve. Now, on number three, we have what we call symmetry. Symmetry, this is where you put the subject between the frame, in the center of the frame, and you try to balance. But now, the subject might be still, but in the other thirds, on the other side, there is some activity that is going on. Even on the other side, there is some other activities going on. All might be still, but all in focus. Now, it helps you to emphasize who has the authority also. It helps you to emphasize the leading character. Please, symmetry is also another kind of a tip that is very, 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 very creative. And you can do a lot of creative work and creative things while using symmetry. But most of the DPs do not realize symmetry. Let me tell you, there is a DOP is called Wes Anderson. Anderson is the guy who uses it most. But it looks nice. This work with symmetry, it looks nice. If you try symmetry and you try the rule of thirds, and you try to do the symmetry, and the leading lines, your work will look good. Your work will look professional. And we've had the rule of thirds, we have had leading lines, symmetry. On number 4, we have what they call the depth of field. Now, this depth of field depends on what you want. But in most cases, when you're doing a close-up, depth, and you have a nice camera with a focal length which is 50 plus, it is also a nice tip onto which we can use to make our work, our composition, our frame look good. It is a very nice one. Now, this is where you can see your subject in front is in focus, but the rest of the frame or the composition or things behind the subject are out of focus, are blurry. This is what we call the depth of field. It is nice. It gives you details on the subject, and it does not draw away the viewer's attention. It helps your viewer to put his or her attention on the subject. It does not distract. Remember, the other things are blurry. The focus is on the what? On the subject. How is it done? First of all, make sure your subject is not near to the background. Put your subject a little bit far from the background so that you can focus only the subject, but the background is blurry. Then you have to mind your aperture. Open your aperture very wide, very, very, very wide, and then try to increase or decrease the shutter speed, and then the ISOs, to increase the shutter speed and then decrease of the ISOs, so that you can have a proper balance of light, but then you still have what we call the aperture very open. It also helps you to get this depth of field. And another thing is the focal length of your camera or your lens. 50 plus close-ups, it is very good. 50 is a very good lens on how to make the depth of field, to make the depth look nice, to make it you can to measure or narrow, I don't know how to, but to give you that strong depth where everything behind or everything in the background is out of focus. Now, we have had the depth of field, and we have had symmetry, depth of field, leading lines, rule of thirds, and on number 5, we're having what we call balance. Let us learn how to balance our compositions, our frames. Let us to learn how to balance them. And now, it's not that Now you have to put your subject like, yeah, I'm talking. You have to put me in the center. At times it's boring. At times it's boring. Now you can find a way. Now there is a way now in that movie which we can see a man is at the table eating, and then a woman is entering from the other door. It's also balancing, making your composition active. Active. It communicates. That is what they call balancing. Now, another thing about balancing, it's the always and always make sure that your subject has the headroom. The headroom, this is the space between your head or the end above your subject and then where the frame ends. Make sure that you always and always have the headroom. Then you must also have the talk room. This is now, for example, if I'm looking this way and I'm talking to someone this way, you won't notice that I'm talking to someone, and when I'm like this, you see, I don't have any talking room here. Understand? But if I'm on this side, far away from the end of my frame, you can easily assume that I'm talking to someone this side. Though there is no anyone that I'm talking to, but it helps you. It gives the subject room to communicate, and hence drawing again focus or emphasizing the word, the subject. So balance is also another form, or it's another tip that you can use to make your composition look cinematic, to make your composition look professional, to make your composition look good. Now, on number last, we have what they call frame in frame. Now, a frame in frame, this is very nice. It is very attractive. It is very creative. It's not only all people do it, but it is nice. It is good. Now, this is when you can see someone is inside maybe the house, and then you are shooting through the window, then you are showing outside the window. The window is in the frame, and then you are through the window. We are seeing someone inside the house. That's what we call a frame in frame. They're also creative, it's also professional. It is not everything, it's not an everyday tip technique that anyone will use in his or her work. So please try this frame in frame. It makes your work look good, it establishes, it helps. As symmetry, what I never told you about symmetry, also symmetry helps you to show the wide shot, or to establish your what, your scene. It's a very very good technique on how to establish a scene, as well as the frame in frame. It is also another good technique that helps you to establish the frame. Please do not forget to use all these. We have had the balancing, we have had the rule of thirds, we have had the depth, we have had the leading lines, the symmetry, and the number seventh frame in frame. There are 7 tips. 7 tips, but if you put all these in action, in work, trust me, your work won't look the same. Your work will look very good. But on a note, all things that govern cinematography can be broken as long as you are being creative and bringing something new and interesting. And another thing you have to note is that not every time you have to use all these things, that every time you have to follow the rule of thirds, that every time you have to bring up symmetry, because you can also use them as effects, but at times they become boring if you overuse them. So please do not overuse them. Do not overuse them, but use them as well to make your work creative. Once again, I'm Kexela Faisal from Visual Factory Productions. And do not forget to like, do not forget to share, do not forget to subscribe, do not forget to comment. Please like, subscribe, share. Please, please, and please, my friends. I love you. Do not forget about the masterclass. We love you all. Thank you. Shut up.